It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that one and done train. No Tate and Connerway, no problem for Indiana as they snag their first quad one victory of the season and make a statement at Assembly Hall with a 72-67 win over Purdue. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. If you don't know now, you know I'm the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. My name is Jay Heinrich, Dr. William Kennan. He is El Capitan around these parts, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Indiana played quite possibly their best half of basketball all season in the first half and then held on for that 5-point win. Mike, what a battle in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolute battle, really physical game for two teams that average, 80 points. We got kind of a physical defensive struggle at times, which, I don't mind that in a rivalry type matchup, but just a huge win for Indiana. I see Snake's Eyes jumping in saying, oh yeah, baby, to the Hoosiers here. They needed something on this resume. Absolutely needed it, Jay. 299th non-con strength of schedule. You run down the list, lost to Nebraska, lost to Michigan State, lost to Iowa, lost to Michigan. So all the big dogs taking L's here, and they finally get one for a reeling Purdue squad. So I definitely needed this one. I thought, just when you look at the styles, it was kind of weird, right? Purdue wants to run two bigs, use Braden Smith, right, as kind of the conductor of everything. And they want to jam it inside. They didn't really do that in the first half. So I thought the styles kind of favored Indiana. They kind of did what they wanted to do, which was use DeVries as a stretch four and just have him kind of create havoc. They got a bunch of switches where Wilkerson essentially got Clough or, they got TKR, and they were just able to make a lot of shots. They were, obviously knocking it down from three, shot 36% from three. So I just thought Indiana kind of just had its way physically, and then they kind of got their way as far as the style of the game they wanted to play. I was kind of surprised, Jay, that Purdue didn't pound the ball inside, man. I don't quite know what's happening with that. So what are your takeaways from this one? And what were your thoughts from this 5-point victory?
Well, I'm gonna start right there where you left off. Purdue came in averaging 36 points per game in the paint, and they only got 24. It took them a while to decide to finally get that two-man game going between Smith and TKR. And once they finally did it, they opened up the floor a little bit, and Braden Smith looked more like that Steve Nash prototype that we see him looking like quite often. It just looked like more of what Purdue wanted to do in the second half, and it still wasn't enough because, like you said, it was too much of what Indiana wanted to do in the first half. They got away with anything they wanted to do. 8 of 20 from three at the half. That was one of the keys to the game, is Purdue being able to stop the three. They didn't in the first half. Indiana was just on fire. They had 24 points from three at halftime, 10 in the paint, and 4 from the free throw line. 38 of their 40 points were from the free throw line, in the paint, or from deep. A super efficient half for Indiana, and that was the best way to get it done. Purdue just wasn't, Fletcher Lawyer, he's not that guy.
He's cold right now. He's not making anything.
I think he came in like 3 for 18, 3 out of his last 18 coming into the night. He was off again tonight. He started the game 1 for 5 from 3. Purdue's bench was pretty much non-existent. It was one of the points that I made here on my notes for the game. I wanted to ask you, Mike, you mentioned Purdue is reeling a little bit here. 3 straight losses. What do you think they're going to have to do to straighten out this ship?
I think we kind of saw it as the answer to the second half. And the thing that I've been talking about all preseason, I do not love the two paint-bound bigs. And Braden Smith, you take away what he's really good at, which is getting into the lane in a two-man game and then being able to spray it out to shooters. We saw Benter come in, which – look, Benter to me is I wish they played him a little bit more earlier in the season, but they were obviously, getting some W's, with the two big lineup. I just don't love it, man. He was great in the second half for what they asked him. 6 boards, so he was strong on the rim. He was very active. He needs to stretch the floor, kind of like Cam Heide, which was a big reason that Purdue's been so successful over the past 2-3 years, is because you've always kind of had a stretch big at the 4 to really open up the lane for TKR, for Zach Edey. So, yeah, man, that's still kind of the thing for me, is like they're going to get in these games where they play versatile 4s And they're going to have to get out of this too big thing. Unless you're just going to dump it in and dominate in the paint, or you're going to use TKR in the short roll where he can spray it out to, a couple of the guards like Lawyer, Cox, who they really didn't get anything from tonight. He had a 3, I think, in the first couple of minutes, and that was about it. It's just going to be really tough to be that juggernaut offense, right? And that was my biggest concern. So why I didn't think they were going to be a top 4-ish team, a 1 seed this year. And it's kind of being shown here to the last 3 games. I mean, it's just really tough because you look at it. Indiana has Tucker DeVries at the 4. Illinois, who they lost to, has David Merkovich at the 4, and their bigs both of this can shoot threes. UCLA has Bilodeau, who can shoot threes, and Eric Daly, who can shoot threes. So that's just going to be their problem. If they're going to continue to jam the 2 bigs, they have to dump it inside, and they have to be aggressive and physical. They could have put DeVries in foul trouble. They had Alexis in foul trouble within the first 6 minutes. He had 2 fouls.
Quick.
Mm-hmm. They just didn't do it consistently enough and forced the double teams, right? But it's kind of tough when you have two guys that don't shoot threes. And they're just going to kind of clog the paint because they need to be around the paint to be effective. So, yeah, those problems are still there for Purdue. We'll see if Benter, maybe they'll put him at the 4 to start, and we'll see if they move Clough off the bench because we've seen how effective TKR and Smith are together with the stretch 4. So that's kind of what I'm looking for from Purdue going forward.
18 minutes off the bench for Benter. He did have 5 points and 6 boards. They just looked much better with the flow there. Jacobson was in there as well. He's just so big and long, and he caused some problems on the defensive end, but only ended up with 3 points with his 5 rebounds. A 72-67 win for Indiana over Purdue, a big-time statement victory for the Hoosiers and Coach DeVries. We're definitely seeing a team that is finding its way, I think, right now in Indiana. A team that understands it's got to find a way to get some of these resume-building victories under their belts because, like you said, the non-conference schedule really wasn't there everywhere you look. Before tonight, they were really one of those last 3 or 4 teams on the outside looking in. And to get a win like this against a really good Purdue team could be one of those things that just, sets it off. I mentioned Connerway being out to start this one, Mike. Dorn and Wilkerson had huge nights for Indiana. Dorn had 18. Wilkerson had 19. Talk about their impact for Indiana.
Yeah, so obviously Wilkerson's been amazing. Kind of one of the mid-major transfers that's come into the Power 4 or 5 and really kind of just been the same guy, right? Getting buckets, took advantage of the mismatches whenever he got Clough and TKR. I thought Dorn's been awesome. He's been inserted into the starting lineup. Look, 6 of 11, 4 for 9 from 3. You'll absolutely take that. Had a couple of key steals. Indiana's going to live by the 3 and die by the 3, and they're just going to hope that they make enough defensive stops in order to win games, which is kind of what happened today. Although the score, honestly, Jay, if they don't miss the front ends, right, going down the stretch, it felt like they were trying to hand it back. And if it wasn't for Connor Enright, Connor Enright kind of was stabilizing force, right? As odd as what to say, he shot that 3 when they were, I think Purdue cut it to 2. He shot that 3 with such confidence to take it back up to 8. Man, that's kind of one of those things where it's that's probably the shot Purdue wants him to take, and they let him take it multiple times today. He was 2 for 5 from 3, but man, for him to shoot that with such confidence, Jay, they got to go on a run. This isn't enough, right? They have UCLA and USC on the road. Those are huge opportunities for them, and then Wisconsin at home. They're going to have another bout against Illinois, Purdue, and Michigan State. They need to get 2 or 3 more of these because they got their best non-con win is against Penn State, is against Kansas State or Penn State. Pick one, and neither one of those teams are very good. So, I just thought overall, man, they just wanted it more, right? They were so physical. I thought at times Purdue kind of got shafted a little bit by the whistle, but that's what you expect on the road. You have to play through that. So.
Those 50-50 calls are going to go to the home team, especially in conference play. That's how I look tonight anyway, in a 72-67 win for the Hoosiers over the Boilermakers. Make sure you hop in the live chat if you haven't already. Join Cam and Snake's Eyes. I saw Max in there saying that this is more of an indictment on Purdue. I think that this could be, if you look at Indiana and the recipe that they put out there during the first half tonight, if that's something that they can replicate, whatever you want to say, on a consistent basis and start games that way, as I drop all of my notes for the show here, This is one of those things that they have the formula on tape now. They have this. It's just one of those things where the coach likes to pull out a game tape, when we went on a nice little run, and then all of a sudden our dollars are down and we can't beat anybody. Hey, look what we're capable of doing in this first half against Purdue. We can do that against anybody. Well, at least that's what you got to sell to your team, right? But they did get a 5-point win here, 72-67 for Indiana. Mike, I mean, you had Bailey off the bench for Indiana, did give them 26 minutes and 9 points. He had a really nice game. Miles is somebody that's working his way into more of the rotation for Indiana too. He had 15 minutes tonight and 5 points along the way as well. I wanted to ask you, man, is with Purdue, is this one of those things that is Clough just not going to be? I'm trying to ask you, I guess, is this going to be like sort of a turning point for this team? Are they realizing now that this just isn't going to work?
I don't think it can work, man. Like it. But the problem is that they've had success with it. Now, it doesn't mean that he can't start the game, but why not first couple of minutes, right, on the glass, take him out, get the stretch guy in there. I just don't love wasting Braden Smith's ability to get into the lane and be able to spray it out to shooters. And you can't do it because guess how many 3-point attempts TKR and Clough combined for today, Jay? You know how many me and you combined for today?
The same, partner.
And it's not that, TKR can shoot it a little bit. I mean, he's 2 for 9, right? But he's shown that he can shoot a little bit. They're not going to shoot threes, man. So, yeah, they need to switch this thing up, man, if they want to find their ceiling because there's just not – this college basketball isn't really played with 2 plotting bigs anymore, man.
Well, you mentioned it here that –
have like Mara and, you're going to have 3 of them out there, and then you're just going to overwhelm people with your size.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to overreact here because they have shown that they can win with that formula. But Indiana sort of gave you the game plan here. They did what they wanted to do. They forced Purdue into some turnovers. They got the ball up and down and hit their threes and got out to a lead that Purdue just wasn't able to overcome. And that's with Braden Smith having 0 assists in the first half. That's an indictment on a game plan. Yeah. If Braden Smith has 0 assists at halftime, that is an indictment of the game plan in general because it's not – there's no way that should happen. He was averaging 9.3 coming into the night, leading the nation, 0 at halftime. There's so many things that we can point to as to why this went wrong for Purdue tonight. But Braden Smith not being allowed to be Braden Smith until the second half is probably the biggest one.
And not having another shooter from the 4, right, it really hurts Lawyer and Cox because – they're the only 2, right? And like if there were times when Lawyer's just standing there because he's not involved, they're not going to come off of you because they don't have to worry about the second big. If there's a reason for them to come out on the second big on a rotation, then Lawyer gets easier shots. So it just feels like unless they're running these sets and Lawyer's coming off screens where he's, on the catch and shoot, right, when he's running off of a screen, those are like his easiest looks. He's not getting the looks that he got last year. Where you had the 4-man in Heidi just be able to, either take the shot or pass it to him in the corner, and there it is, man. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, though, because they've got wins over Alabama. They've got wins over Tech. They beat Auburn early in the year. But I think teams are starting to realize, man, like you just spread this team out. You either dribble drive while the 2 bigs are out there, or you just shoot it over the top with a step back 3. I mean, they took a lot of like step back side 3s with Clough was guarding with TKR. It's like, why not, man? Like you kind of live by the 3, die by the 3 anyway. And that's how Illinois plays as well. So yeah, Alabama plays that way. There's just gonna be a lot of teams that play that style. And I guess there's a get right spot for them because they go to Maryland and Maryland can't do anything. Then they played Oregon at home. So they're gonna catch a couple of W's, but then they get Nebraska, Iowa, and Michigan. And Indiana again, and then Michigan State. So it's not like they could be staring at easily 5 or 6 losses as we start to enter, at least in conference play, as we enter March. It's kind of looking like it. Their offensive efficiencies are just going to start to tumble as these games kind of go by.
72-67 victory for Indiana over Purdue. First quad one victory of the I was going to say of the young season. No. We are well into this year. It feels like they should have one coming into the night. They had 6 opportunities coming in, but hadn't pulled it off. Tonight was their first one. Definitely something important for their resume as we crawl towards March here throughout conference play. Snakes Eyes, we should have known when Cignetti brought out the national championship trophy. We should have known that it was over at that point. He came out, he said, "Google me, I win." And that's what Coach Devery said tonight as well after a 72-67 victory for his Hoosiers over the Boilermakers. Mike, any last thoughts before we get out of here on the night?
No, man. Fantastic night of basketball. Big Ten just delivering it on a nightly basis. So we'll continue to do these live reaction shows. Don't miss any of our coverage that we're doing. And yeah, I'm excited for a fun run to the brackets being revealed in less than 7 weeks, my friend.
Right around the corner. Make sure you push those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Show your broskies and basketball some love. Follow us at One and Done CBB on all the socials. Shout out to our guy Nate for pushing the buttons tonight. Shout out to our guy Eric, Eric the Blue. There we go. Getting the studio ready for us tonight. Cignetti is the current GOAT. Well, wherever he was, wherever they just win where he is. They just put him at the softball games while they're playing tennis in the spring. Whatever it is, just park Cignetti there if you're Indiana and get those dubs. All right, thanks everybody hanging out with us. Make sure you push those buttons, like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bells. We got DFS shows coming up. We got live reactions. We got our Sunday recaps, streaming Mountain West games as the season goes along. So make sure you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight after a 72-67 win for Indiana over Purdue. That man sharing your viewing device with me, he's El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Thanks for hanging out with us. Take care of yourselves. Tell somebody that you love them. Until next time, my name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace. We'll see you.